I don't know if this is working, but we're going to try it. Hello. Welcome to Brushing Teeth with Robert. It is 8 o'clock on the dot. I actually start on time. May 2nd, 2020. Welcome. Welcome to Brushing Teeth with Robert.
I'm on a concrete way. The wind is blowing with a northwest.
I hope you can hear this. I don't know.
It smells like a scent of the southern island.
This is Chibo Mato.
When a black cat crosses
If anybody is in here and can tell me if they hear this music, let me know, please.
a woman in the moon is singing to the earth. A woman in the moon.
We made it. We made it to Saturday. Welcome to the live show. Awesome. Thank you. All right. May 2nd, 2020. It is the month of my birthday. So we made it through another week. So good for us. Good for you. Good for me. Good for all of us.
I'm riding on a camel that has big eyes. The buildings are changing into coconut trees, little by little.
So thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming to the live Saturday Brushing Teeth with Robert. It was very nice of you to join. That was Chibo Mato with Sugar Water. Fantastic band. I believe they were produced by the Beastie Boys. And you really should check them out. They were fantastic. Another song they do that is phenomenal is one called Aguas de Marco, which it's a bossa nova tune that was originally done by, I believe, Serge Gainsbourg. But it's awesome because they're Japanese and they do it in Portuguese. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you look them up. I don't even know if they do anything anymore. I have to be honest with you. I know they made maybe 2 or 3 albums, but I don't think they made much more after that. But they're phenomenal. They're the 2 cute Japanese chicks, and they're great. They're great. They really are. They also did some hip hop, which was pretty awesome. Speaking of which, you'll probably notice that this is lit a little different. I am sorry if you're seeing me in a little bit better definition, but I'm slowly adding to this situation. So I'm hoping that it looks a little bit better. I really am. This should come a little bit closer in. Okay, there we go. All right, so May 2nd, we've made it into May. I believe we're still doing a little bit of social distancing, so that's good. Of course, I'm coming to you live from Oak Cliff in Dallas, Texas. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Got my whistle pig right there, ready to go. Cheers. Welcome to Saturday. If you like what you see or what you've heard, please subscribe somewhere around. Even if you don't subscribe, I hope you do regardless. Even if you hate me, please subscribe. I mean, it's, I wouldn't say it helps me. I'm not making any money off it. This is just a fun thing to do. And I hope that I take your mind off of things for about 30 or 45 minutes. And then we can get on with enjoying the rest of our week to Wednesday, where I annoy you again. So welcome to Brushing Teeth with Robert. So here we are in the beginning of May. The year is going by seemingly quick, or maybe I'm just old and that's what happens. I don't know. I'm thinking it could be a 50-50 split, one or the other, But we made it, and I hope that you are helping keeping your local businesses alive wherever you are, whatever locale you're in. I hope you're staying healthy. I think everybody's saying that to each other, stay healthy, So I don't know. I don't know what I believe. And honestly, I don't really care because we're going to move on to the subjects I have for today. Now, please, I just want to let you know this on this first subject. I'm trying not to make it boring. I don't want to make it boring. All right. But I think it's been brought up a few times in the last couple weeks as to whether people are even reading real books anymore. If people are even reading covered, like actual hard books, or whether everybody's reading them on tablets. I heard somebody ask the other day whether Barnes and Nobles still exist. I don't know if they do. I mean, if it didn't start with with books, I don't care. If it didn't start with B and end with Dalton, I don't really see it as a bookstore. Is that it? I think that might be aging myself, by the way. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately, about books that were influential in my life, and I think that people should read. And of course, since I am a guy, I am always going to think about it from a guy's perspective. And I did write in my notes that these are books that men should read. I do believe they are books that everybody should read, all right? But they are oddly men-focused, all right? Please don't tune out yet. Hear me out. They're not self-help books, all right? These are not like modern men books, all right? These are actual just books that tend to be a little bit male-centric that I think that people should read. They're fantastic. They're phenomenal. These are not my top 3 by any means. They are just 3 books that I liked. So if you get a chance to read books, you should read them. They're good books. I actually reference these books, I think, through my life and through different conversations, oddly, because they come up quite often. And I think that happens to a lot of us, especially with books that that we admire. They will come into our casual conversation. We'll see similarities in a conversation that reference back to books that have influenced us. One book that I really do believe everybody should read, which is The Right Stuff by Tom Wolfe. A lot of people will be familiar with the movie, and the movie is exactly what the book is about. Of course, it is about the story of the astronauts that were picked to go into space first. Okay, and it's about their lives. It was about their trials, their tribulations, the things that they went through in order to become astronauts. The Right Stuff is fantastic. It's unbelievably well written. And Tom Wolfe, of course, I think he's a national treasure. He truly is. He wrote some of the best literature of his age. And it's a great book. And one of the best things about the book, of course, it does a lot with, of course, Chuck Yeager. And I don't know if you know who he was, but he was a phenomenal pilot who didn't end up going into space. And it's about how sad he felt about that and how angry he was. I believe Chuck Yeager is the first person to break the sound barrier. I believe so. So he it's not just about that. It's not just about the competition of it, because we have to imagine that back then, astronauts were pilots. That's what they were, first and foremost. They were pilots. If you airline pilots also, of course, are pilots, but a lot of things that some of the people don't know, a majority of airline pilots have in common is they come from the military. Many of them come from Air Force backgrounds. In fact, a lot of your older pilots you'll find flew even as far back as Vietnam. So, and they're very, very, very competitive. This was a competitive situation in which they wanted to one up each other. They wanted to be the first person to go up into space, of course. And I think whenever it comes to pilots, period, I think at times they can be there is a competitive nature that's built into them. But one of the two of the best parts of this book, first of all, is about their wives and what their wives situation, what their wives went through in the early astronaut wives. And I don't know much about the wives now of astronauts, but they went through a ton because they were always in the press. Their lives were always scrutinized. They were minor, major celebrities of their own. And so a lot of this book a lot of the right stuff talks about what they went through. Another thing that is phenomenal about the right stuff is there's a bar. There's a bar that they all go to and drink that's right outside of this testing center. And they had been going to this bar for years, and this bar was owned and run by a female. I think it was called. What were they called? They were called barrel racers or something at the time. But she was a pilot, so she was a pilot. She was also like unbelievably well skilled at riding horses. Like she was. They feared her and admired her. And being a female owner of a bar, let alone at this time, and being a female pilot at this time, I think she was a crop duster, a pilot also, was kind of unheard of. And they took her very seriously. What she said went there. And she would hang pictures of the pilots around the bar. I don't think the bar is there anymore, but I always thought that was a neat part of that story. And it also showed how the women in our lives shape us to be the men we are, even sometimes if it's a secondary situation. So The Right Stuff by Tom Wolfe, please go read it. I don't care if you read it in a regular book or a Nook or a Kindle or whatever that thing is called. I don't really care how you read it, but you should read it. It's a great, great, great book. And then another book that I think is phenomenal, that I think everybody should read, is by a guy named David Brenner. All right. And it's called No One Ever Sees You Eat Tuna Fish. Now, David Brenner was an unbelievably famous comedian, and he was a famous comedic writer. He wrote on, I think he wrote for SNL. I think at one point he wrote for SCTV. He wrote for all sorts of different like late night shows. But he was a phenomenal comedian. And basically, he grew up in Philadelphia, and it's about not only his youth of growing up with his brothers in poor Philadelphia, but it's also about him becoming a famous comedian. And I know that probably a lot of people don't recognize that name right now, David Brenner. A lot of people don't recognize that name, but he was very integral to shaping comedy in the late 70s all the way into the 90s. I believe he died of cancer. I can't remember. I did very little research for this. But it's a great, great book. And the title, No One Ever Sees You Eat Tuna Fish, comes from a great story about his older brother. His older brother supposedly was very good looking. He worked a blue collar job, but he always had nice cars. And he always had very good looking women. And he was always able to take them to fancy dinners and take them out on fancy dates. And one day he asked his brother, how are you able to do this? I mean, you don't make the kind of money that allows you to do this. And his brother turned to him and said, "No one sees you eat tuna fish." And the way that shaped my life is that anybody that knows me knows I'm very frugal with money. I do not like to spend it. I don't spend it on myself hardly ever. This being my birthday month, it was kind of weird because I was actually going to buy myself a trip, but there's no place obviously that's not on fire or safe to go right now, so I can't buy myself a trip. But it was odd to look at places to go on a trip because I don't spend money on myself. I'm just not that kind of person. And it always brings me back to that title. Nobody sees you eat tuna fish. Because there are times when I am able to spend a lot of money. And one of the reasons I am is because I don't normally. I don't normally spend a lot of money. I'm pretty cheap as it goes. And of course, that brings us to my third book idea. My third book idea and my third recommendation is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Now, I don't know how often, when I was younger, when I was in high school, all my friends read it. It was a big deal to read it. It was written by a guy named Robert Persig and is the fictional story of a father and a son riding across country from Minnesota to California on motorcycles. And it's about the different conversations they have through this journey that are philosophical, that are, it's about the motorcycles breaking down and them having to repair them and what they do to repair them and the quality of life and the quality of craftsmanship that we put in our lives and what we do to make a better life ourselves, people, and how we not only repair the machines that get us from point A to point B, but how we repair the machines that get us from point A to point B, if you know metaphorically what I'm saying. So it's a great book. It's got hints of like Kerouac's On the Road. It's got, of course, I believe it was written in the early 70s. So it's almost after that whole 60s philosophical hippie movement thing where these people who had gone through those situations in that counterculture are now reflecting back on their lives as they get to be adults and raise children. And it's just a great book. It's Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's phenomenal. I highly suggest it. You should read it. So, The Right Stuff, No One Ever Sees You Eat Tuna Fish, and Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. If people are reading books these days, you should read them. You should read them. They're great. You know, they really are. They're really good books. The Right Stuff will make you laugh and cry. No one ever sees you eat tuna fish will make you laugh and cry. And Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, it'll give you a healthy introspection into your own life and what you've done on this journey. And so I'm hoping that you check them out. I really, truly am. They're fantastic books. So I'm trying something a little different. As you can tell, it's much better lighted. There's also, I think, a better flow to this. I'm enjoying it more. And one of the things I'm going to incorporate is a little bit of an intermission. Yes, I am. So I'm going to play another song for you for a second, and I hope you enjoy it, as you should, because it's a great song. And just give me a few minutes. I'm going to go freshen up my drink, and I'll be right back. Stick around with me. Brushing Teeth with Robert. I'll be back in 3 minutes. All right? Probably even less than that. More like a minute and a half.
was walking down the street. I was cruising in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Something was cooking, but was it the chicken? There was a mouse and chicks in a box. Said 2 for 1, but 3 for 2. I said that's no fair. There's money for you. What was the agenda? The other money for you. I know my chicken. You got to know you're a chicken. I know my chicken. You got to know you're a chicken. I know my chicken. You got to know you're a chicken. I know my chicken.
Hello.
What did the blue one went away? The other blue up in red. She was noisy every night. I had a whole chicken pie.
As you guessed it, this is Chivo Mato again. It's called Know Your Chicken, as we all should. All right. So, I don't know how that worked out. If any of y'all want to let me know how you thought it worked out, I thought it was fantastic. I liked it. It's a little break in the middle of my rambling, and I'm sure you were happy about it. So I've been giving parenting tips lately. And so I was going to give a few more, but these were going to be parenting tips, not for the parents, but they were going to be parenting tips for friends and family. If you know somebody raising a child, these are tips for you. All right. And I don't want anybody to take this as the front. All right. So I want to start there. So if anybody knows, if anybody has been in this situation with me, why don't you know this isn't a personal thing. This is just something I've noticed that people do when they know people who are raising kids. All right. And these are tips for you as friends. These are things that you, I feel, should know and should abide by. All right. We hear this. These dogs, I don't have kids, but I have dogs. No. Fuck no. No. Stop that. It's dumb. You're being dumb. That is a very, very, very false equivalent. That's a humongously false equivalent. Now, I don't want to go off on this because we already know that it's kind of a tired idiom. There are many parents who you've heard through the years say that. They have said, fuck you if you're equating your fucking dogs to kids, because I raise fucking kids and ain't nothing like fucking taking care of stupid Jeff, all right? So I'm going to take a weird kind of left turn here, all right? Which something I hear a lot of people say often, which they'll say this. They'll say, I know so-and-so. I mean, they've got kids. I practically helped raise them. No, you didn't. No, you didn't help raise them. You did not help raise them. Because you knew me as an adult and you knew my kids, and maybe you did some things with my kids. Maybe there were some things you did with my kid. You did not help raise my kid, all right? There was no helping raise my kid, all right? Just because you lived next door to me and we were friends and you knew my kids and you babysit them a couple times, or maybe you took them to the grocery store for something a couple times, you never helped raise my kid. I don't even care if you put my kid to bed a couple times. You did not even come close to helping raise my kid. You knew me, thus you knew my kid. That's how that goes. There was no, I kind of helped raise their kids. No, you didn't. Did you pay my bills? Pay my rent? Did you go take them school shopping every year? Did you go into the parent-teacher conference every year? You spank my kids. Did you ever spank my kids? No, you didn't. So guess what? You never helped raise my kids. You knew me and you knew my kids. There was no helping raise my kids that you did. All right. It really is equivalent to the whole dog thing. It is. There is an equivalency there of you claiming that I don't have kids, but I have dogs. It's an equivalent thing. You didn't help raise my kids. All right. You really did not. Do you still, to this day, lose sleep every night because you worry about my kid, even though my kid's an adult and lives on his own and pays his own bills and has his own job? Do you still lose sleep every night worrying about the kid you helped raise? I guarantee you're sleeping just fine. So stop saying that. Stop saying that. Nobody should ever say that. They shouldn't say that. If you're a parent, you're a parent. If you're not a parent, you're not a parent. Like, that's how easy that is. Now, of course, there's the exceptions. You're a nanny. You're a babysitter. And by babysitter, I mean you're babysitting every day. All right. I don't mean you're just coming over like to let mom and dad go out on a date every other Saturday or something like that. I mean, you're babysitting every day after. There's a little bit of an exception to the rule, okay? But if you just live next door to me or 2 houses down from me or you're a friend of mine, you did not help raise my kids, okay? If my kids maybe oddly call you aunt and uncle, because you're such a close friend, you still did not help raise my kids. That just means you're very close to me and my kids have seen you around the house a lot. That's all it is. You did not help raise anybody, all right? You've got your own life. You still get to go to it every night. But guess what I have to do? I have to be here with my kids every day. So you're not helping raise anything. And that's really gotten on my nerves lately. I've heard that reference about 3 times in about the last year, and it chaps my hide, and I've really kept my mouth shut about it. So I'm sorry if I went on a little bit of a rant, but it's true. It is true. If you did not get up every morning and fix them their lunch and take them to school and pick them up and spank them when they did shitty things or scold them or put them in the corner every single time, unless you still lose sleep to this day about kids, you did not help raise those kids. You were my friend and you knew my kid. And you knew my kid well. I'm not saying you didn't know my kid well. You knew my kid well, but you didn't help raise anything. You didn't. You have your own life. Unfortunately, I have to raise stupid Logan. That's what I had to do. I have to raise stupid Logan. So, that's actually raising a kid is when you raise, how you can, you want to know how you raise a kid? If you ever call the kid stupid Logan. I raised stupid Logan. Love him. Smart as hell. Logan, if you're watching this, I think you're smart as hell, but you also know you're stupid Logan. So I've felt that for a very, very long time. Had to get that off my chest. One other thing for family and friends. Listen to me very closely. When parents lie to their children or they omit things from their life or their past that they don't want their kids to know, do not breach that line. Do not, one night when those kids are older and they happen to be partying with you and that parent doesn't happen to be around, not fuck up the lies that parent has told that kid, because those lies are there for a specific reason. Now, there's a caveat. There's always a caveat. And the caveat is this. If it's a shitty parent and it's a shitty kid and their life is stupid and they're just making all the fucking mistakes, the parents making mistakes, kids making mistakes, everybody's making mistakes, fuck it. No holds barred. Fuck it. Tell them all the stupid shit. I don't care. Tell them all the stupid lies their parents told them, because the parents doing a bad job and thus their cover deserves to be blown. But if that parent is doing a good job, and that parent is trying its best, and that parent is raising a good kid, and one of the ways that parent raised a good kid was to lie to that kid a little bit, let that lie be there. Let it be there. It's not harming anything. It's helping for a reason. So do not, family and friends. Now, embarrassing stories. Hey, man, by the way, one time I saw your dad throw up on a cock. Like, things like that. Sorry, I'm getting things situated because I think I realized something that's not going to work. If it's something like that, fuck yeah, tell that kid all day long. One time I saw your dad accidentally pee on your mama, like things like that. Like, tell him. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with telling him that stuff. But if it's a big omission that parent has specifically left out in order to properly raise that kid, let it be. Let it be. Enjoy it for what it is. All right. Let that kid believe it for a while. And again, the only frame of reference I have is me raising my son, and I can tell you this, and he's probably he'll watch this, and he knows everything I say right now is going to be true, which is that he doesn't want to know. I've heard somebody before go, at dinner with my son there, go, does Logan even know about what happened to you when you were younger? And my son literally turned to them and go, I don't want to know. I do not want to know. And you know what? Proud father right here. Unbelievably proud about that. He knew the boundaries. He knew the boundaries I drew, and he knew that there were certain things I left out in order for them not to be there, So family and friends, those are two little rules. Just try to abide by them. Don't pretend like you raised somebody else's kids just because you knew them, and don't spoil parents' lives. I put it down to a basic form. Let's do it in a basic form. When parents, when they're telling their kids that Santa Claus exists, every once in a while, there's that family member or that friend that will not even slip, will literally straight up go, Santa Claus doesn't exist. That's unfucking fair. It's unfair. It's unfair to the parent. That parent has Santa Claus existing for a very good reason. For a very good reason. Let Santa Claus exist. Or let Santa Claus exist. But give the parent the chance. Give them the chance. I hate this. I hate that light ring thing. I got to figure out what I'm going to do about that. So that's a little bit more parenting tips. So you're welcome on that. If you don't mind me keeping you for about 5 or 6 more minutes, I want to bring up one more thing. I talked about pets last podcast. And I talked about pets that would be, last Saturday's podcast, pets that would be good to own if your dog died. A good, healthy alternative to a dog, all right? And it got me thinking about pets we should not be owning. Now, there's obvious ones. There are obvious ones. As we know, you got like that Joe Exotic shit. Like, nobody should be owning tigers or leopards, or keeping their tigers in their house in New York. We all know this. That's obvious. That's obvious. I'm talking about regular domesticated pets that are pretty normal for people to keep that I don't think we should have. All right. And I'm going to start. I don't know how many of these I'll mention, but I know the number one I'm going to mention is birds. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why are we keeping birds? It makes no sense whatsoever. Why are we keeping birds? Does nobody see the irony in keeping a bird as a pet in a cage? I mean, right? Does nobody see that? Am I the only one who sees that? Am I the only one who you're keeping a bird as a pet in a cage, like a normal bird? Now, cockatiels, little finches, things like that. Like, no, they fly. They fly. How fucked up have you made them? I already know there's not going to be roaming packs of Jeffs, like licking themselves in the middle of a prairie somewhere, hunting rabbits. Like I already know that, but a bird can fly. Any bird can fly. Any bird can go out there and just be out there. And it makes no sense at all. So I just got a text. I'm gonna let you know this right now, Mario. So your wife will tell you about the bird that our grandmother had in a cage, and I believe it was a macaw. I think it was a macaw, and that macaw used to sing. It was the worst. You're right, Doss. It was the worst. He used to sing Bible songs like Jesus loves me, yes I know. Like it was the worst. Here's the worst thing. Here's the weirdest thing about it was a yellow-headed Amazon. So here's the weirdest thing about like parrots or like macaws, for instance. And I thought about this. Like through our lives, we will own several dogs or cats. All right. Oh my God. Its name was Pepe. So through our lives, we will own several dogs and cats. But isn't it weird to think like parrots or macaws or people that keep toucans, that those birds will own several humans through its life? They live longer than we live. And they're meant to fly in the air. They're meant to be out there flying in the air. Like, it's just the worst. It makes no sense. I don't get it. Like something with wings in a cage, like that just seems so intrinsic. I know my fat fucking cat Louie. Okay, I take that back. Like Louie's a killer. Like he'd survive. But there's not going to be packs of roaming like house cats that prowl through the jungle, so that's a little different. But a bird can fly in the air and be free and enjoy its life, of course, until it's eaten by a bigger bird, because I'm pretty sure that's how it happens. Or a snake. I think they're eaten by snakes also, which brings me to my second one: reptiles. People who own reptiles. First of all, I believe this. If you own a reptile, it should be mandatory that you either have a barbed wire tattoo, you either have a tribal tattoo, or you are fully tattooed head to toe, and your name's like Bear or something like that. Like that's a nickname somebody calls you. Like reptiles make no sense. There is no reason to own a reptile. There's no empathy born into them. They have what's known as lizard brain. They have lizard brain. They know to fuck, they know to sleep, and they know to eat. And the honest truth is this: if you're keeping a water dragon, if you're keeping a Komodo, there are people who keep them. They monitor lizards. I've seen it. I've been to people's houses where they have monitor lizards. Your food. If you're not the provider of food, you are food to them. And it makes no sense. It makes zero sense to own a reptile. Snakes and lizards do not care about you. They don't care. They're not showing love. I've seen somebody do that before where they had a couple water dragons. They had these like branches that went through their house. I'm not saying they were meth addicts, but I'm also not saying they were meth addicts. But they had water dragons, and they I remember the girl, when the water dragon would come up to him, she would, "Oh, he loves me." No, he doesn't. That lizard doesn't love you. That lizard is coming up to you to see if you'll give it food. And I can tell you this right now, that if you lay dead on the floor for longer than about 3 hours and you didn't give it food, you're the fucking food. They know there is no empathy built into them. They are not a pet. They do not show love. It is biology. It is a scientific fact that they do not know compassion. That is, lizards and snakes are not there to be pets. They are predators. That's all they are. Again, that's why they don't let them on the island of Hawaii, because they just eat things. That's what they do. They are a population decreaser. All right. So I just got a text that said, dogs and cats will eat you too if you die. Okay. You're right. I will not disagree with you. I will not disagree with you. But before I go, I'm going to tell you two things. One is going to be fact and one's going to be anecdotal. The first is fact. You're right. Cats and dogs will eat you. You know when they will eat you? They will eat you when they run out of food. That's what will happen. And it takes them a while. It will take them a while before they make the decision to eat you. Cats are faster. Dogs take longer because they're dumb. Dogs take longer. It takes longer for them to decide to eat you. Cats will eat you pretty quick. All right. Not as quick as a lizard. And I'm going to tell you something anecdotally. All right. So, had a customer a long time ago, and I can't believe I'm going to end this podcast on this note. Had a customer a long time ago. All right. And he rented these parking spots from us, in which because his HOA wouldn't allow so many cars on his property. So he rented 2 spots, and he would come every 2 weeks on a Monday and pay. Well, 2 weeks went by, didn't show up. And I'm telling you this, that man was like clockwork for 4 years. That's how much this man was like clockwork. 4 years, every other fucking Monday, he'd show up and he'd give money. All right. Doesn't show up that Monday. Think that's a little weird. I turn to the owner of the shop and I go, listen, this is on Wednesday. I go, I think maybe should we drive out there and check on him or something? The owner goes, yeah, we should go check on him. Hop in the car, drive out there to his property. Now, pull up to his property, front door's wide open, music's playing, radio's playing. Now, I want to preface this by saying this. He had a dog that went everywhere with him. It was a gorgeous, like a yellow lab. And he was phenomenal. And he was such a friendly dog. And he went everywhere. He was always with this man. All right. We walk in the door. Door's open. Walk in the door. In the kitchen, the man is dead. Stone cold, purple, bloated, dead. Guess where the dog is? The dog is sitting right next to him. Right next to him. He had been dead for almost 3 days. And that dog had not taken a fucking bite out of him. I dare you to do the same thing with a monitor lizard. I dare you. A monitor lizard will eat you even if you have food. Even if you have food, a monitor will eat you. All right. So that's anecdotal. I know. But I've seen it happen. I've seen dogs be loyal. I've seen them be very, very, very loyal. That's one instance. He supposedly, the coroner put him dead at it was something like a little bit over 48 hours. And that dog had not touched that man. Now, the dog was pretty much out of water, but the dog had not touched the man. So, that happens. It happens. You're right. Dogs and cats will eat you. We hear about it all the time with some cat lady who was eaten by her cats. But they're oddly more loyal sometimes. They're definitely more loyal than fucking reptiles. I'll tell you that right now. So, on that unbelievably cheery note, I would like to say thank you for joining me for brushing teeth with Robert. I want to thank Ladoska, and I want to thank Mario for joining me and helping chime in. Mandy, thank you very much for offering to Google things for me. All right, and checking for me. So that was very, very nice of you. And if you like what you see or you hear here, please subscribe. Listen, we're not out of the woods yet, but we're getting there. I love you and I care about you and I want you to stay healthy and I want you to stay sane and I want you to keep listening to me ramble on about bullshit. So feel free. Also, if you ever want to do a call in, please let me know. Please DM me so I can prepare for it because I would love to. I'd love to take callers eventually. I've only taken one, and it was my stupid son. So thank you. Thank you for making it through another week. I'll see you on Wednesday. It'll be recorded. But then on Saturday, again, I'll do a live one. And hopefully you'll join me for that as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for having a good time with me. I love y'all very, very, very much. I want to let y'all know that I've had a good time. Have a good week. I care about you.
A que me ponga a cantar de los tres vicios del mal, cigarros, cerveza, tequila.
Brushing Teeth with Robert, May 2nd, 2020. Thank you very much. Had a great time. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for giving me a hard time. Guys, I love y'all very much. Mario Ladoska. Mwah. Y'all have a good day. Have a good week. Enjoy the rest of your night. All right? Do me just one favor if you can this week. If anybody sees Logan, please muscle some money that he owes me out of him. Please. Have a good week. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.